All right, everyone. It's really funny when globalists come out and they sort of admit to their ulterior motives and their malevolence towards independent sovereign nations. With Juncker coming out, one of the EU's bigwigs coming out saying, "Well, I'm sorry that the EU didn't do more, that we didn't interfere in the UK on the Brexit vote and stop it from happening or stop it from passing." It's very funny. Now, this is against the backdrop, of course, of a lot of people within the UK. They do lament the fact that there was a Brexit vote, but if you actually ask, they've conducted polling, the vast majority don't want another referendum, and they do want to go forward with Brexit in a timely fashion, whether there's a deal or not. They prefer a sane deal, but they're not going to get it. Theresa May over and over, they took someone who was a Remainer, someone who didn't even like Brexit, the fact that it was happening, put them in charge of negotiating Brexit. That was a bad idea. Now, that was by design. I said, it was over a year ago that I said, look, what they're going to do is they're going to try to make the deal so unpalatable that it won't happen, and one of two things will go forth. You'll have a shitty deal that'll quickly lead to the UK petitioning to rejoin because they'll put people under stress. They'll try to collapse the economy of the UK, the globalists will, because even if they're British, most of their money is globalized, so they don't care if their local economy is a potato patch. They'll still be rich. In fact, they'll be richer by design because then everyone else will have less. They'll look even richer. So they want to collapse the UK's economy or put stress on people enough to get them to petition to rejoin. Or they'll have a no-deal Brexit and the same goal will go forward. It was never in the cards that they were going to be able to prevent Brexit from occurring. Although they're kicking the can down the road, what they originally, I think, hoped to do is hold another vote, kick the can down the road a few years, but it's become clear that even people in the EU, I think to punish the UK, don't want even that to happen. It looks like there was a differentiation, a lack of coordination between the globalists who are more in the UK itself and the EU globalists specifically. That there was a disconnect. The latter wants to punish the UK now a little bit too, get a little bit of revenge. But the ultimate goal is to get you to go back into the EU. My warning has been the same substantially now for over a year. The people of the UK need to understand, once Brexit is officiated, once you officially leave, your markets will swing around wildly. There will be probably a rise in unemployment, in all sorts of problems. There may even be violence. Your government, primarily, will blame this on Brexit. They will blame it on UKIP and on nationalists in your country. They'll say that they're extreme and vile and horrible people. They will then try to sell you a pig in a poke, which is, hey, why don't we just rejoin? Okay, we did our duty under democracy. We had our Brexit. We respected the will of the people. Now we're going to hold another vote and see if the will of the people has changed. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to try to convince you to immediately rejoin the EU. And the EU, when that happens, will be more than glad to oblige, as long as they allow you allow them to shill you a little bit more, to fleece you just a little bit more than they already are. And it won't really matter because the deal that you're about to have, if you have a deal at all, will not favor the UK because Theresa May never wanted it to favor the UK. The whole idea by design is for it to be as shitty as possible. That's why she immediately went in negotiations. She did the opposite of what a sane person meaning to go forward with something would do. She said, "Oh, we're willing to entertain any deal." And then she hardlined them after the fact, after they said, "Oh, okay, well then we're going to give you a deal that basically keeps you our slave." Without representation. Essentially, the UK is exactly as it was before, but now it doesn't even have a seat at the table of EU. Therein lies the problem. Theresa May basically sold your country out. And as for Juncker, saying, well, yeah, we lament that we didn't interfere more. He's trying to put a spin on it like, oh, because people in the UK will suffer and we want togetherness and family-friendly la la la. That's the same as when tech firms, when billionaires try to censor people, and instead of calling it censorship, they say, well, we're trying to be more family-friendly. We're trying to prevent bigots. We're trying to prevent homophobia and sexism and racism and all the bad things in life. That's not really what it's about, though, because most of those don't apply to the people being censored, and it never will. Because most people are decent. Except billionaires, a lot of them are shitty people. Therein lies the differentiation. So yeah, it's very funny to see a globalist sort of own up to the globalist idea of lack of sovereignty is a good thing. The only thing being putting that positive spin on it. The same as the censorship lovers. We've seen this with the pro-war crowd before. Hey, we gotta fight them over there, so we don't gotta fight them over here. It's a war for freedom. We're fighting war for peace. The Bush era, something like that. Or Bubba Bill talking about getting his cigar smoked and how somehow it wasn't sex until it was. And it gets me too'd anyway. But Juncker's crazy. And hasn't he been drunk in public before? To the point where he could barely stand? I think, didn't he like almost collapse that one time at a big like EU get together there? It was like some sort of meeting, and I think a couple people, they had to like carry him up on stage basically. And this has happened before. Like, he likes his wine, obviously. Isn't he French? Well, you know, maybe that would explain the differentiation between his behavior and maybe some of his contemporaries. No offense. I know of fewer and fewer people in France and Germany can even watch my channel because my channel is literally blocked under the DNS there. It's very, very funny. My channel is blocked, but the videos are still available. But they're trying to remove my videos from all the related videos. That's why, by the way, you should share out all my content. It sucks having to even fucking point that out at this point. They're doing whatever they can and, you know, largely failing. The globalists are failing too. I think that Brexit will go forward at some point. Who knows when. I think they're aiming for, like, the 1st of July, or was it June or something? And it's like, we'll see. It's like a few weeks away, and we'll see if it happens. They'll probably just give them another extension. It'd be funny if the EU, if it turns out that Theresa May's not in on it, so to speak, and they just shut her out, throw her under the bus. Say, no, you're having a Brexit. No deal. Fuck off. Go. Bye-bye. It'd be funny if they did that to the UK. Because then maybe the righteous indignation of the British people would keep them from having to rejoin that globalist gorgonic monstrosity. That's about all. Peace out.